Summary: Monaco is a tiny kingdom near the Mediterranean Sea, situated between France and Italy. It has a small population of only 7,000, comparatively less than a small country. Just like any other country, Monaco had a king, a palace, ministers, an army, and generals. But the army had only 60 soldiers. To maintain his kingdom, the king collected taxes on tobacco, wine, and spirits, and also collected a poll tax. However, the revenue was small and there was no scope for further taxes. So, a new tax on gaming houses was levied. The gaming keeper collected a percentage from gamblers and paid a large share to the king. Even German kings allowed such gaming houses, but many players, after losing all they had, would drown or shoot themselves. So, it was stopped elsewhere. But nobody could stop the king of Monaco, and the gambling business continued to thrive. A few years ago, a murder was committed in Monaco, a place where such crimes had never happened before, because the people there were peaceful. A court of judges assembled. After much discussion, they found the man guilty and sentenced him to death by beheading, which the king also agreed to. But there was a problem. There was no guillotine and no executioner in Monaco. So the ministers decided to ask the French government to lend them the machine and an executioner. But the French charged 16,000 francs, too expensive. Then they turned to the Italian government, which asked for 12,000 francs, still cheaper than the French, but again, too much. So the council met again and decided to ask one of their own army soldiers to do the job. But no soldier agreed. Again the council gathered. This time, they reduced the death sentence to life imprisonment. A proper jail was arranged, a guard was hired to watch over the prisoner, and it cost the kingdom 600 francs per year. When the prince realized even this was too much, he asked his ministers to find a cheaper solution. Eventually, they dismissed the guard and decided to let the prisoner run away. But the prisoner didn't run away. He simply showed up at the palace at the correct time every day to eat and stayed inside. The ministers asked him to go, but he said he had nowhere to go. His reputation was ruined and he had become comfortable with the lazy life, free food and no work. Even if they asked him, he wouldn't run. So finally, the council decided to pay him a pension of 600 francs per year. He agreed. He even took 1/3 of the pension in advance and left the country to live in a neighboring land. The prisoner traveled about an hour by rail. He purchased a piece of land and started farming. He collected his pension on time every month. Sometimes he even gambled a little of that money. But overall, he lived a peaceful and decent life. The author reflects on this story by saying, it was actually a good thing that the man didn't commit the crime in a country where the government is quick to spend money, either to cut off a man's head or to keep him in prison for life.